Guidelines for designing effective English language teaching materials. One of the most important parts of English teaching programs are teaching materials. Even when there is a great deal of commercial teaching materials, many teachers prefer to make their own to use it in class. But why do English language teachers choose to design their own materials? First, let's mention the advantages and disadvantages of designing materials. Advantages. Contextualization. They focus on specific cultural or educational groups and reflect local varieties of English. Teachers can create or modify materials to better fit their learning environments and resources available. Individual needs. Teachers can customize materials to match learners' levels, adapting materials based on various learning principles to maintain student interest and reflecting students' first languages and cultures, increasing their learning experiences. Personalization. Teacher design materials offer a personal touch appreciated by students, reinforcing motivation and engagement. Timeliness. Teachers can create materials that are up to date and relevant, allowing them to address current events effectively. Disadvantages. Organization. Teacher design materials may lack coherence and progression, leading to confusion for learners. Without proper physical organization of materials, they may be difficult to locate for ongoing use and may end up damaged or without parts missing. Quality. Teacher-created materials may appear unprofessional, with errors and poor design, missing essential content, or having poor text choices, and without sufficient guidance for using these materials effectively. Time. It's hard for teachers to create their own teaching materials due to a lack of time, despite believing in their benefits for learners. Factors to consider when designing materials. Learners. Teachers must prioritize learners' relevance, interest, and motivation to determine specific learning needs in English skills, as well as consider students' experiences, first language literacy levels, aspirations, and learning purposes. Curriculum and context. Teachers have to align materials to a mandated curriculum at schools that specifies what to teach, including goals and objectives. Resources and facilities. Teachers must be realistic about limitations of available resources and facilities, such as computers with or without internet access, language labs, DVD players, whiteboards, projectors, and so on. Copyright compliance. Teachers need to be aware of copyright law implications when creating materials that include excerpts from published works. Time. It is important to consider ways to make this aspect manageable, such as sharing materials with other teachers, working in a team to take turns to design and produce materials, and organizing central storage so materials are available to everyone. Guidelines for designing effective English teaching materials. Guideline 1. English language teaching materials should be contextualized. Materials should be related to the curriculum they are intended to address, to the experiences, realities, and first languages of the learners, and to topics and themes that provide meaningful, purposeful uses for the target language. Guideline 2. Materials should stimulate interaction and be generative in terms of language. Language teaching materials should provide situations where learners need to interact with each other in the type of interactions they will engage in outside the classroom. Guideline 3. English language teacher materials should encourage learners to develop learning skills and strategies. It is essential that language teaching materials also teach their target learners how to learn and that they help them to take advantage of language learning opportunities outside the classroom. Guideline 4. English language teaching materials should allow for a focus of form as well as function. It is important to make activities more communicative, but focusing on language form at the same time. In order to encourage learners to take an analytical approach to the language, Guideline 5. English language teaching material should offer opportunities for integrated language use. Material produced should give learners opportunities to integrate all the language skills in an authentic manner and to become competent at integrating extra-linguistic factors. Guideline 6. English language teaching material should be authentic. About authenticity in terms of the texts, learners need to hear, see, and read the way native speakers communicate with each other naturally. Authenticity in terms of the tasks, and on the other hand, is considered to be more important since they will reflect the language and behaviors required of them in the world outside the classroom. Guideline 7. English language teaching materials should link to each other to develop a progression of skills, understandings, and language items. Clearly stated objectives in the design process will help ensure materials coherency, connecting specific learning goals while also giving opportunities for repetition and reinforcement of earlier learning. Guideline 8. English language teaching materials should be attractive. Aspects to be considered are physical appearance. Language teaching material should be good to look at, focusing on the density of the text on the page, the type size, and the cohesiveness and consistency of the layout. User friendliness. Materials should also be attractive in terms of their usability. For instance, enough space to handwrite responses, or silence long enough during a tape or video exercise for both thinking and responding. Durability. They should be made robust enough to be used more than once in many different students. Ability to be reproduced. If done in colors, it should be done in a way that if photocopied in gray, it looks attractive but overall clear in appearance. Guideline 9. English language teaching material should have appropriate instructions. For instructions to be effective, they should be written in language that is appropriate for the target learners to make instructions more concise and efficient. Guideline 10. English language teaching material should be flexible. The materials the teachers uses should offer flexibility in approach, level, methodology, logistics, technology, teaching style, evaluation procedures, and expected outcomes. In the end, it is up to teachers whether designing their own materials is worth the time and effort.